Hi guys, so today I would like to show you how to make your own blending tools. So we know that we have the classical blending tools, the stamp and the tortillon, and once more the difference between the two of them is that the stamp, if you guys look, has two heads, right? While the tortillon has just one, and otherwise, if you look inside, it's empty. The stamp, it's made out of compressed paper, which means that it's quite nice and hard. So it allows to use the side of the blending tool as well as the tip. The tortillon, it's quite sensitive, so it doesn't allow to use the tip. You would be using mostly its side when you blend. So if we were to take, for example, the stamp, we know that we can blend once again with its size, this size, the longer one. But also we can use it to spread a little bit and to draw or to apply value just by picking up some of the graphite. We can also use this tip to draw eventually small details and very light. So let's see how can we make our own tool. So I have here one, and it's a sort of blending between the stamp because it has a pretty sturdy tip. I can use it to draw, I can use it to blend, if you guys look, so I can blend a little bit. I can also use its tip. However, it's empty inside like a tortillon. So let's see what materials would we need to make our own basically blending tool. Let's say that you don't have the time or the money, or you just run out, you cannot find your stamp or your tortillon. First, we're gonna need some papers, and according to the type of papers which you guys use, you'll get different results. Thus my advice is try to use different papers. So if it's a softer paper, you're gonna see according to the edges after you break the paper. For this, I will use just my sketchbook, a paper from my sketchbook. So let's put it here. So remember the sketchbook. Then I will need let's put this away. I will need an X-Acto knife. I will need some tape. I like to use Scotch. And also, if you look, I already prepped it to make sure that I don't have to stop and to cut the tape. You need a pencil, any kind of pencil, a pair of scissors. You'll need the sandpaper, either the sandpaper block or the regular hardware store block, the 220. You'll need a ruler. So without too much ado, let's start. So first, go to your sketchbook and take a piece of paper. And since I'm gonna use just a small piece of paper, you don't wanna spend the whole page. So what I can do is first, I will trace a line. So I know that I'm gonna use this piece of paper. If you don't care, just tear apart the whole paper. Then very lightly, I'll just trace apart this paper. And then with my scissors, I would cut out on this line. Let's see. So now I can keep this paper on my sketchbook for notes or small drawings or whatever. Then let's remove this. So I will take my piece of paper and I will take my ruler and my pencil, and I would make a rectangle. Basically, this will be the paper which I will be using it for my stamp or my blending tool. Once again, it's not quite a stamp, it's not quite a tortillon, it's a blending. So I would make a rectangle, and this one is 5 inches by 7 inches. I will cut this rectangle out. So take a piece of scissors. Try to cut it nice because we're gonna need its edges. So make sure that it's not all crooked. So I will cut it. Also, my advice, try to have a couple of them. It might not work from your first trial, so it might get a little bit weird. Don't get frustrated, just have patience. Let's put this here. So basically what we'll have to do with this tiny rectangle is to roll it in such a way that it's really tight and it's gonna have a sort of tip or a space for a tip. So One of the easiest thing, guys, is to take your scissor, put your finger first on this side, and take your scissor and cut a little bit out. So this would allow you a little bit more motion for the rolling. Another thing is the paper, it's a little bit sturdier. So what you can do is to take a pair of scissors, put your finger on the back, exactly on the blade, corresponding to the blade, but on the back, and just go a couple of times to give this circular shape, right? Then very lightly, some people love to use their index and their thumb to roll. I cannot quite do it right, so I will just try to roll it from here. So I will give it a couple of shots because it can be challenging. The first part, the first roll is the most important because it's gonna show the tightness of your stamp. So don't rush it and try not to create folds, try not to press very hard. So very gently I will just go a little bit to create a sense of roundness. I would reopen it and have a couple of tries until I feel that the paper is really nice and tight. I will be using this edge as a guidance to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So I'll do it a couple of times. I know that this is the boring part when you guys have to watch, but be gentle. So I'll try to do it. And if I feel that it's not tight, or if I see that it already goes off, I would reopen it. So try again. Here it is. So it starts to work. So I will try to push it a little bit if I see. Don't force it, but just very gently. So I will just try to bring it. Then I will move a little bit my hand, my left hand, to make sure that I can control the left section while I roll. So it's gonna take a little bit of patience. Don't go. I realize it's not quite tight, but let's just go with this one for now. So once I get here, I will take my tape, which is already prepped. I will put it alongside. Hold the roll, don't let it fall. I will look to see which side, and this one is the empty one, the hollow one, so I'm not gonna use it. And I will have this one. Now, at this point, I will put a little bit more tape, just a little bit. So at this point, I have a sort of tip, if you guys look. So what I will try to do, so now this one is all done. So I will take my X-Acto knife and I would sharpen the tip, pretty much like we had to do when we sharpened the stamp. So very lightly, don't try to go all at once. So I'll try this part. And I'll try to eliminate some of the paper. If you use a lighter paper, like the printing, for your printer type of paper, you can use also a sharpener, a real sharpener. So we'll have this one. Let's see if I could use actually a little bit. No, it's too soft. So I'll go back and sharpen this thing. And I think that at this point is fine. If you look, I have some paper residues. So what I will try to do, I will really try to take them out. Let's clear this part. I would really try to take them out with my sandpaper. So I will put it in between my finger and I will sharpen exactly as I would were to sharpen. I'll drag towards me, make sure that I create this tip. I see that here it's a little bit of paper. So I'll clean it. And remember, every time when you sharpen either your made blending tools or your stamp or your tortillons, you want to use a fine grit sandpaper. If you buy the one from the store, it's already nice and fine. However, if you buy from the hardware store, you would have to buy one. So if you guys look, it's all nice and it's pointy. I can make it more, but let's stop here. I will take my I will take my paper, trial paper, take a nice pencil to be able to see it. Let's say that I would use a softer pencil. So, oops, I got a color pencil. It's okay. It should work. So I'll see if it's working. And I see that, yes, it blends really nicely. And if I'm looking, it starts to pick up some of the graphite. Let's use a regular pencil. Will be easier for you guys to see it. So let's see. So I see that I can use, it blends. I can use also its graphite, and also I can draw with it. So it has pretty much the qualities of my stamp. So once again, guys, in order to make your own stamps, you need a paper. You can use a sketchbook paper or your Strathmore drawing paper, although it's a little bit harder. You need a pencil and a ruler to cut your rectangle, which you will be using for your stamp. You will need an X-Acto knife to sharpen your homemade stamp. You need some sandpaper, either the sand block, which you can purchase from the art store, or the sandpaper, the 220 grit, which you can buy from hardware store. And you'll need a pair of scissors to somehow curve the paper, because when you just cut it, it's a little bit harder. So you can just carve it a little bit to give it, you know, this easier access to run that. And you'll need some Scotch tape. That's all, folks.